So about a year ago, I was on a mission to find a small film camera that I could carry around with me every day and on my travels. But I quickly realized I didn't want to be shooting film because of the cost of the film and the risk of losing the film in the developing process. Long story short, I settled on the Fuji X100V and I've been very happy with that decision. However, during that search, I came across this app called Nomo Cam. Yes, it's an app for your phone, and I know right now digi cameras that are nostalgic and film are popular, but hear me out. Nomo Cam is an app that emulates what it's like to shoot on a bunch of popular film cameras. Each camera is different, which makes the shooting experience really fun, but not all are equal. Some of these cameras have a really cool interface, but you get kind of meh results, where others have pretty unassuming interfaces, and I get some of my favorite photos from them. I'm on a trip right now in Nicaragua, and I've been using this app more than I've been using my Fuji X100V and the Sony that I'm shooting this on right now. The 135 zoom emulates something called the Canon Autoboy Luna. I have no idea actually what that is. Kinda sick, and maybe that's why I like it. Like in the name, the zoom is the highlight of this camera. You can also add 5 different captions for your image, bake in the date, or activate the flash. There's also this button to make the image a panoramic. Not a true panoramic, it just chops the top and bottom off the image, but I don't know, maybe you can do something with it. Like with most of these cameras, I think it's best shot in natural light. This camera is emulating the Olympus MJU2 and it shoots 35mm film. I've got an idea of what the original Olympus looks like. Oh yeah, I think I actually had this camera at one point, and maybe that's why I like it so much. There was a period of time where I did not purchase the full version of this, and I individually bought this camera, so I have shot on this one the most. It's got a really simple interface, a massive viewfinder, which is really nice, and very few buttons, just double exposure and a flash. Something unique to this camera and a few other in the Nomo app is that you can upload past images into the camera. They'll get processed and look very similar to as if you shot them in camera. I don't like how these photos look inside or shot in artificial sunlight. Stick to outside. I think it's easy to guess what camera this one is emulating, the Contax T3. This camera has gained some popularity in the past few years with celebrities shooting with it, and the price of this camera has gone way up, so I'm happy that it's included in this bundle. I think it's a great all-around camera. Been pretty happy with the images that I get out of this one. Some neat features include double exposures, a selfie mode. You can shoot in auto, macro, portrait, landscape. I think it's great for outdoors and sunny days or some harsh contrasty light, but it's a good all-around camera. There's also the option to upload your past photos, which is a bonus. The M3 is emulating the Leica M3, which is shooting HP5 black and white photos, and I am a sucker for black and white. The photos come out with a great amount of contrast, and I think it's great for portraits. Some of the features on this camera include exposure compensation, there's a flash, you can do a selfie if you need, and there's even a self-timer if needed. Also, did I mention the back of the camera is really beautiful? This is another camera emulating Leica, and in this case, it's the Leica M6 shooting Kodak film. The back of this camera is super nice, and I love that you have the option to use all of the lenses on your phone. I think the option to have exposure compensation is awesome, and I really like the photos that I get out of this camera. This camera is emulating the Minolta TC1 and is shooting on Kodachrome film. I have no idea what this camera is. Yeah, this looks super retro. I like this little button here that lights up the display. No function at all, just a fun little add-on. If you want to change your exposure compensation, you hit this little on-off button, and the camera actually looks like the original Minolta. Here you can make the images a stop darker or lighter. I've most consistently got my favorite photos using this camera. It's not the best in every lighting situation, but it's also not the worst, like some of the other cameras I mentioned. Because it's emulating the Kodachrome film, the colors are rich, but desaturated, if that makes sense, which I personally love. As of filming this, this is my favorite camera on this app. There's so many other great cameras in this app that you just need to try out. One of my favorites is Pen, which lets you shoot 2 photos that are merged side by side. Another is Vid 8, which lets you emulate Super 8 cameras and lets you edit in-app. Or 1234, which shoots 4 burst photos and creates this unique panoramic. As much as I love having a separation between a physical camera and my cell phone, I'm always going to have my cell phone with me. And we all know the classic saying, the best camera that you have is the one with you. Nomo Cam, if you're watching this, please reach out. I've got some ideas for some future videos. I've been using your app forever. I'm going to keep using it because it's incredible. Get at me. Nomo Cam is free to download, and there is a couple free cameras in the free version. And as much as I don't like subscriptions, I think the annual subscription for Nomo Cam is well worth it. Many of the best cameras are on the paid version. And when you take into consideration the cost of buying a camera and the cost of film and developing it, this really seems like a pretty good deal. By the way, I shot this entire video in log. This might be the first video I've ever shot in log, so let me know what you think. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a picture profile for your camera, and I just learned how to shoot in it, so I'm working on it. Thanks for sticking around to the end and watching the video, and it's all gravy.